Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series. And you can see that I am joined today by Steve Byrne, who is, of course, the Chief Executive of Travel Counsellors. So hi again, Steve. It's a few months since we last had a chat and a lot has changed, I guess, but a lot has stayed the same. We're still at home, aren't we?
We're still at home. It's good to speak to you.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us. Now, of course, we're recording this on Wednesday, which comes just a couple of days after Boris's announcement on Monday afternoon around the roadmap out of lockdown and what that means. And certainly, you know, we've seen lots of people on social media and contacting us, and we've obviously spoken to people who've said it's had quite an effect on how busy they have been in the last couple of days. So tell us what it's meant for your business.
Well, I think firstly it was a positive move, wasn't it? We'd had some announcements leading up to this that were completely unhelpful to customers and everyone in the industry. So to get some type of roadmap mentioned on the announcement was great news. And it's really interesting, isn't it, for all of us in travel, how our consumers and customers respond, because it gives us a huge amount of confidence for the future, and we share, you know, the responsibility for their travel plans. So what we have seen is a couple of really strong things, and I'll share it with you in the hope that they're helpful to people who are watching. Firstly, we've seen, and it's built over a period of time, really strong demand for UK breaks for the domestic market. So we had, you know, a day this week, I think it was Monday, Tuesday, I can't. So it'd been Monday actually, when for the first time in Travel Counsellors history, we did more sales for domestic market than we did for international. And that isn't just because international obviously is suppressed, but because the demand for UK has picked up. So that's really good for those businesses that operate in the domestic market. And the second thing that we've seen, so our business yesterday, and when you're speaking to different travel businesses, Lucy, about their sales, there'll be different components to that, and each component is important. There's the new business that they've done.
Yeah.
There's the business that they've rebooked, which is existing business, but being, you know, recycled and recirculated as according to what a customer wants to do with that booking. And then there's cancellations.
Well, I was going to say, I chose my words carefully, saying people had been busy, because we are getting lots of reports of loads of sales, but I'm not sure. I'm sure people have been busy, but a lot of it will have been, as you point out. It won't all be new business, will it?
No, each of those elements is critical, and in terms of giving ourselves confidence about what the announcement might mean, the critical one is the new booking. So yesterday here at Travel Counsel, remember going into the pandemic, we were one of the largest independent travel businesses in the country with turnover. It would have been approaching 650, 700 million. Obviously, we didn't do that with what happened, sadly. But we saw our leisure market up to about 75% of prior year yesterday on a new bookings basis. So yesterday we had enough business that equated to 75% of what we had done at the same point in 2019.
Yeah,
that is significantly, you know, encouraging, I think, for us and for others.
And were you, sorry to interrupt you, but were you surprised that it was that strong, given that, you know, we don't have any real clarity? It's been included in, you know, Boris mentioned it. We thought it might not even get a mention, so we've got some dates to work towards, but it's not cut and dry. We don't know when we're definitely going to be flying from. We don't know anything about what restrictions are still going to be in place. So it's still, you know, you can't, your TCs can't give definitive, you know, advice to customers yet of what is definitely going to be happening.
No, I think we've got a duty of care to the customer to guide them appropriately. And I think what you do know is that the further out you book, the more confidence you can have. But as you're quite right, there is some uncertainty around exactly when people will be able to travel from and where to. But hopefully that clarity will emerge over the next couple of months. But I think what the government have done is bought themselves some time, not only to see how the vaccination programme rolls out and the impact on the health side of data, but also to work with the relevant bodies to hopefully get to a position whereby we can orchestrate a travel pass or some type of electronic documentation and recording of people's fitness to travel, either through vaccination or testing. But to go back to your question, I think it's really encouraging. probably a bit more than we would have expected in an unprompted way. This is customers reacting to an opportunity. But we saw that towards the second half of last year. So in November and December, even though then we were still very much operating in a mixed sort of world with travel corridors, we saw the business on the leisure side bounce back pretty strongly. And I think all of that is super encouraging. So long as we carry on exercising our duty of care to customer and advising them appropriately and properly and giving them good solid advice, and people are booking in a way where they know the money is protected and they've got flexible booking terms, etc. I think it's encouraging, and I think that's good for everyone in the industry.
Yeah, all right. I want to pick up on things like, the vaccination passports, etc. But just before we move on from the business that you have seen, you mentioned there that it's obviously the further out it is, obviously you can be more, I guess, give more reassurance. So has the demand really been for the back end of this year, or have you seen some for the summer, or what are people tending to be looking to book? And are there any other trends in terms of duration or group size or destination?
Yeah, well, there's a direct relationship between how customers respond and what the government have announced, and most travel businesses will see that correlation. So since the announcement of the lockdown earlier on this year, then people's appetite to book obviously has been pushed back. So if you look at what was going on pre-Christmas compared to what's happened post-Christmas, a much smaller number of people were prepared to book for this summer, and an increasing proportion book for later on in the year or next year. What we saw yesterday, and it is only one day, is you did see a spike in demand for this summer, for July, August, and September, and the amount increasing by month, which is my point.
Yeah.
Further out the greater degree of confidence that you've got. And the further out you've got, you're also seeing a greater degree of confidence about the party size and the duration size, because people have got more confidence in the amount of money that they're prepared to spend. And I think it's been well documented by some of the larger airlines and the integrated tour operators that where people have been showing an interest in product for this summer is being on ones that they know, love, and been there before. So that is Greece, and it's Greece has been public about saying it's exploring the opportunity to welcome back UK visitors sooner rather than later, and perhaps not following the EU guidance that they all step in line. Turkey, Cyprus, and also Spain. But we have to see how individual countries respond to the ability for UK people to go there when the government makes its announcements on that front.
Yeah, all right. And just before we move on, because I'm interested in what you said about the UK. I mean, that's staggering, isn't it? That figure sort of saying people are booking more, or you've seen more domestic than international bookings. So it's traditionally been, apart from some, a handful of operators that will pay agents a commission, it's perhaps been an area that agents haven't really done much in, because they, as I said, there's not a vast number of operators that they can work with and earn from. So how have you managed to, are you working with different operators? Are you sort of packaging up yourself and putting on a fee? How are you doing so well with domestic bookings?
I think the starting point, it goes back to our business model, which is, others I think listening will relate to. We want to do the right thing by the customer. We want to personally account manage the customer's complete travel needs. And if there's an appetite for UK product, which there is, we want to be able to service that and provide it for customers. And the less complexity there is in a holiday, the easier it is for the customer to book it directly. And so it's evidence of the power of the relationship that a travel counsellor has for their customer, and the wonderful stuff that they do for their customers. That customers are saying, listen, I probably know I can book this myself, but I want to book it with you. And the travel counsellors and the company have been really proactive in providing customers with ideas about the sorts of UK product that's available. And there's some great product available in the UK. And what we're also doing, which others will be doing too, is using our geographical network. So we have people in all of the tourist hotspots who can help the travel counsellors who's selling a UK break to give them insight into, when the customer goes there, how we can enhance the experience for them, be that restaurants or anything else, or local amenities, or whatever else is available to make the customer's holiday better. So a couple of things: we've enhanced the product, we've increased awareness of the product, We've promoted the product to inspire and get interest from customers, and also we're enhancing what we can offer a customer because we've got that local insight and knowledge through our network. But the primary thing which will enable travel counsellors, the individual travel counsellors, which we may come on to talk about, and individual professional advisors who are watching this, come out of this strongly, if we can get through the next few months, which we will, is the care that they've shown for their customers. And whether you're booking a complicated holiday around the world trip, or a short break in the UK, or a long break in the UK, you show the customer the same level of care and professionalism and build that relationship, and people will choose to book with you if you give them that care.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, okay. So let's just talk then about, you talk about the next couple of months. We've got to get through that, obviously, and we've got the Global Travel Task Force, which is going to be reporting back on April the 12th. What would you want to see them, what do you want to see from that, Steve? Because it's obviously got to cover what's going to happen with quarantine hotels. Are they going to reintroduce travel corridors? Then you mentioned yourself, you think that, having some kind of documentation or electronic documentation that proves that you are safe to travel. So what would you hope to see that would help the industry then get, restart and hopefully rebuild quite quickly?
Well, I think use the time wisely. I know some people have called for the fact that, let's not take as long. And obviously we'd all benefit from the fact if it was brought forward. I think it's much more important that the time is used wisely to make sure that people can travel with confidence. And I genuinely mean that. We've all got a commercial interest, and we're all very close to the impact this has had on businesses and people's lives and livelihoods. But we've also got a shared interest because of this duty of care to a customer, because we are their professional advisors, to make sure that people can travel safely. So put things in place to enable customers to be able to book with confidence, as in confident that not only can I travel safely, but also confident that my trip is going to take place. The last thing that we want as an industry who are passionate about looking after our customers is any further announcements that cause customers worrying and vexing about, have I done the right thing in booking this holiday?
And do you think this government can do that? I don't want to get really political, but you mentioned right at the start of this chat, Steve, that we'd had some very unhelpful messages that had caused confusion about whether it was even legal to book a holiday at the moment. I think that's possibly what you're referring to. So do you think the government can come out with and use the time, as you say, and come out with a strategy that is going to reassure customers?
Well, I think they've created some time, so on the basis that they realise there's things that can be done. I mean, there are things happening, and as soon as the government eases restrictions, then businesses will respond, and we will use technology to enable customers to make informed decisions and to travel safely. And the technology is emerging, so I'm confident that will happen. I mean, but the approach that I would encourage them to take, which is what many others have done, is caring has got no limits. So we obviously, all of us are caring and thoughtful about the health impact of all of this, and we'll all know of people who have been either sadly lost their lives from this or have been affected by it. So we're all attuned to that as human beings. But if we're going to care for people in that way, which is the right thing to do, and as a result make decisions that affect people in other ways, as in with livelihood and income and mental health and business risk, then we have to care for them too. So if there is going to be any further uncertainty about travel and changes to travel, then you have to mirror that with caring for the people who are affected by that too. So that's our industry and all the people that are part of it, so that so long as we cannot get the income that otherwise we would have got, let's make sure that people are supported to get through it, so that we can look after people when travel bounces back. And obviously those two things have not been done in tandem over the course of the past 9 to 10 months, and we hope that next week with the budget that support is there, both for businesses generally and particularly those that in our sector have been, and our people in the sector who have been the hardest hit.
Yeah, so I think that the indication is, we're hearing, aren't we, nationally, that furlough will be extended. Hopefully, we don't know for how long, and some sort of some rules around the grants or whatever being repaid and stuff. So we're hopeful of that. But do you think there will be some tailored support? I think there was a line in the roadmap saying that the government would look at tailored support. We don't know if that will be for travel yet, but I guess if we are still effectively shut down until at least May the 17th, that has got to be forthcoming. Is that what you're hoping for? Do you think it's likely? We've been asking for it for a year and we haven't had it yet.
I've heard different things, that there's, there won't be any specific sector support. And there was some coverage in the press this week that there will be, which I think is encouraging. So let's wait and see. I think we've created some noise in the industry through the various different campaigns over the course of the past couple of months, and we've done our own things too. So let's hope it cuts through. But notwithstanding that, and that is super important, I do believe that with all that we've done over the course of the past 10 months, and this has been something that we've all charted in a way that has been new to us, that the medium-term future for everyone in the industry is really positive and really hopeful, because I think there is super pent-up demand for people to experience the world again. Unemployment, sadly, is high, but people generally have got disposable income to spend. It's not like the financial crisis where economically there was a lasting impact for many years. There seems to be this appetite to consume the services that we offer as soon as people are able to do that. And a lot of businesses, including our own, the people in it have gone to extraordinary lengths to look after their customers, and as a result have enhanced their reputation, and that will pay dividends as the world opens up. So let's hope there's government support. If there isn't government support, then individual businesses will find their way of getting through it. Hopefully everyone will be able to do that, and we've done our bit by supporting our own people with our welfare fund to support people financially and in other ways as well. And then we will rebuild the business and make it even better than it was before. And I know a lot of other travel businesses will be in the same boat. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask you about, I'm struck by how many times you've mentioned the word care. It's obviously very important to you, not just your customers, but your own people or the people in the industry. When we spoke before, Steve, I did sort of ask you a difficult question. I said, did you think that all of your TCs would make it through? And I know you've had your welfare fund and you've done all sorts. I know you have, helping them apply for grants and for loans and all those things. I know, but how, we're talking sort of 9 months on from our last conversation, and it's been through that difficult winter period as well. So how have your individual TCs fared? How have you had to really help some get through? Have you lost any? You did say that you thought you probably would lose a few. So give us an update on that.
Yeah, I mean, your starting point for this is, whether you use the badge travel counsellor or colleague or employee, it's all about people, isn't it? Your business is about people. You love the people that you work with. You love the people that you chat to. You love the industry that you've chosen to be in. And travel attracts, wonderful, I think, caring people. We love what we do for our customers. So our aim in all of this, even though we've had to make some difficult decisions, is to think about the people impact of what we do and support as many people as we possibly can come through it. And the reality of it today is that our attrition rate, which is a horrible phrase, but we used to lose about 9% of our people a year before the pandemic, and in the pandemic it's been about the same. And at the moment we've got more travel counsellors than we had at the start of it, because we've kept the vast majority of the ones that we had at the start of it. And also we've recruited more during it. There are people, we've recruited, over 150 people who in the middle of the pandemic have decided to launch their own travel.
I know. Well, it was going to be my next question, because I do know of a few that have switched, maybe they lost their jobs at different, they may have just made the decision to move. But I know you've certainly picked up some new travel counsellors then. So that's very interesting. Did you say 150 have decided to launch their own business? And
we're already in travel, and some that are new to travel. But go back to your question. What we've tried to do, and you're thinking about navigating this, which was so new to all of us. You want to be reminded of what's your strategy to get through it, and that needed some thinking through. And you want to make sure that you stay true to your culture and values. And we've all, including your businesses and ours, have had to make some tough decisions as part of it. But I was very clear, I think, in my thinking about how we approach it. It shouldn't determine how we operate and how we how we behave, and let's stay true to our culture and values. So we've tried to put our money where our mouth is by supporting our travel counsellors, and they've done an incredible job of supporting each other. And at times it will be in the phrase that's used, isn't it, the corona coaster, and everyone will have been affected by that in their own way. But as of today, because of the quality of the people that we've got and the resilience that they've shown, like many others in the industry, and the care they've shown for their customers, we can look to a brighter future as long as we navigate the next few months, which we will.
And did many of them, we've heard a lot of sort of stories about people just having to hibernate their businesses because it was so tricky and they didn't want, they had to keep their costs down, etc. Has there been, how have they got through? Has it been they've just traded their way through? They just, you talk about how they've been giving this great service to their customers, so perhaps some have done that. Have others had to? Have you seen a mix of approaches, or has everyone done something similar?
Listen, as you'd expect, we've got over 2,000 people in the business, so you've got a cross section of every type of experience. So you've had some travel counsellors who have, been full time on their business and done nothing else. You've had some that, for financial reasons, have got other income to see themselves through it, and then they've attended to their business in outside of that other job, and they've worked all the hours to make sure they look after their customers as well as keeping a roof above their head. You've had other people who found another vocation of interest just to keep themselves sane because it's been so stressful and difficult, the amount of rebookings, etc. So a real cross section. But what is brilliant about it, and hopefully is encouraging for people that are listening to this, is that no matter what a travel counsellor has done, they've seen it as an opportunity to network and to spread the word about them and hopefully get more business from it, even though they might be talking in an environment they weren't talking in before. So, people have gone off and done lots of different things. And the government, whilst we will, be openly, I think, critical of what they haven't done, we should also recognise what they have done. And they have done a number of significant things to support businesses, not sector specific, alas, but they have done other stuff. And a number of our people have been able to take advantage of that. And then, as I say, we put things in place to complement any gaps that we have seen. But what binds, I think, the Travel Counsellor together with the people that read, your publications, and the 5 people that might even listen to this, so that's 2 people plus my 3 daughters.
I'll tell you what, you were one of our most watched actually last year, Steve. So no pressure.
You had 2,000 people and 1,099 were travel counsellors. So what binds everyone together, I think, is travel advisors are professionals. When they operate at the front line, looking after customers, rebooking more customers than would have expected, dealing with refunds, but they do it because they've got an innate desire to want to do the right thing by the customer. And if you've been doing that, whether you're a self-employed travel counsellor, whether you've been doing it full-time or part-time or in another guise, those customers will not forget how you've made them feel, and those customers are going to want to travel again. And that's why I'm absolutely adamant and hopeful that as we navigate the next few months, and we want that support, we must lobby for that support, that the future will be bright for people who are watching this show.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both know that travel agents are professionals and brilliant and providing incredible service and really looked after people through this pandemic. But is it a frustration that perhaps the government doesn't seem to know that? And then particularly for your guys who are working from home, then they haven't got a shop that they can then go and sort of apply for certain grants and things. And we've had so many examples of home workers particularly who have struggled to get some sort of financial support to get through this. I mean, is that a frustration for you that even though we know what a great job my readers, your travel counsellors are doing, that it's perhaps not recognised, and we're just seen as this industry that just provides holidays, but there's all these people who have got livelihoods dependent on this industry?
Well, I think there's 2 parts to that. I mean, it's very clear that I think if you speak to any leader in the travel industry and travel sector outside of maybe the airlines, I think the airlines might say this, that in terms of our lobbying and impact, we don't have the weight that other sectors have, and where we do, then the airlines and the airports, I think, do have some influence and are able to, trying to lobby support. And listen, we don't have an industry without the airlines, without the airport. So I think it is underrepresented in terms of its importance. That's not reflected in the share of voice that we get, and we've seen that in this. And then on top of that, in terms of our own specific businesses and others like ours, it has been very difficult to square as part of this when you've got a party that in power that's meant to be more pro-business, the gap in support for businesses and small business owners. I mean, our travel counsellors are small business owners. They run their own business. A number of them employ people. A number of them have got family businesses where they've got their sons and daughters and partners working in their business. And there have been well-documented gaps in the support for self-employed people and small business owners. There's the 3 million forgotten people who have not been able to draw on any support whatsoever. And we've been trying to do our bit in lobby for that support. So that has been, a significant gap, I think, in the government support. And small business owners are the lifeblood of the British and UK economy, and we want to champion them. And they do wonderful things for their customers, and they also provide employment for others. But we are where we are, and it's been, I think, difficult. I think for many navigating this, there's some things that we can't control, and therefore we have to focus what we can control, and we can control what support we give our people.
Yeah.
And people can control what support they give each other. And I think what this pandemic has shown is the power of soft skills and the power of caring and the power of being able to relate and empathise with other human beings. And never in, you and I have been in the industry for some time. Never has there been a time in our industry when there has been a greater appreciation of the power of the human touch and how a human being can make a difference to a fellow human being in society at large and in travel. And that's why professional travel advisors, if they're supported through this and get through it, can look to a brighter future.
Yeah, people are saying that, and we're seeing the evidence already. I've spoken to so many agents who've said they've started to get new clients coming to them because they have had their fingers burned. Are your guys seeing a lot of that they're seeing a turn to travel agents for people who wouldn't perhaps normally have even considered using one?
Yeah, I think it's been reaffirmed. I think, without blowing our own trumpet too much, you've seen specific recommendations, affirmations have come about our business and about how our travel counsellors have conducted themselves. And that goes back to the fact that we were navigating something that we'd not come across before, the scale of which we'd never come across before. But we shouldn't let it determine how we behave. And I think one of the reference points that we've tried to use in this, both at a company level and at an individual level, is as we come through this and we look back on how we've conducted ourselves, can we look back with pride on how we've done that? And we've not been immune to this as a business. It's had a profound impact on our business, on our financials and our income levels. The impact has been mitigated because of the strength of our model, and we went into it in a strong position, but it's had a profound impact. So we've had to adjust, and our travel counsellors have had to adjust, but we've not adjusted on our values and our operating style, I don't believe. And that is about putting customers and people first, or endeavouring to do that wherever we possibly can. And others will have done the same. They will benefit from it. New customers as a result.
So just picking up then on the impact it's had on your business then, rather than just talking about your individuals who work there, but if you say you haven't compromised your values, what areas have you had? Is it a case of deferring things, investments you would have made in other things, or have you had to cut costs? I mean, everyone's had to cut costs, but I mean, where would you say you have had to sort of trim things then?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at this at the start of it, and I think we spoke a couple of months into it, I can't exactly recall. You think about what is your strategy, and our strategy was threefold. Remember when my role as the CEO is to be concerned with the strategy, the culture, and the people. So you had a strategy going into it, and now things have changed. So what's your strategy to get out of it? Well, the first thing is you've got to make sure that financially you've got enough muscle to be able to survive. And that's both at a company level and an individual level. The people who are furloughed or people who face redundancy, or if you're self-employed, financially, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
And at company level, it's the same. So at a company level, you have to look at your cost base, because the brutal reality is that the lower your cost base is, then the longer you will
you continue.
have income coming in. So, we very sadly last year, did see some people leave the business, and that was reported at the time. We used the furlough scheme for as long as possible, but sadly we had to make some reductions. But going back to what I said before, we try to do it in the most human and caring way possible. In doing that, you then have to think about what opportunities does this provide, because there are opportunities in adversity. We talked about the UK market as being one. So the opportunity for us was to take stock and say, how can we strengthen our relationship with our travel counsellors, because they are the heartbeat of the business. So what can we do to make sure we keep them and support them? And then how can we make sure that our support model is even better than it would have been before? Because it's a very rare time in your business life when you've got a 10-month window, and we didn't want it to be so long, where you're not grappling with growth.
Yes, there you go. So you've got all this time to
reflect,
to do,
and how you can make things better. And going into the pandemic, and you've known travel counsellors, for a long time. For a long time, every year it's delivered double-digit growth and record earnings. So we've had a period of time we've been able to pause and reflect. When we think about where do we want to be in 3 years' time, what does that picture look like, and what can we do now to deliver that and make it better for everyone? So we've made significant investments in time and thinking over the course of the past 6 months, thinking about our support model for our travel counsellors. How can we deliver a support model that enables the travel counsellor to deliver even better relationships with their customers, so that we can deliver better intimacy and we can scale with intimacy? So how can we enable the business to scale and still deliver intimacy with customers? But also, how can we help an individual travel counsellor deliver a level of sales beyond what they may have been able to do before and still deliver personalisation and intimacy? So that's what we've been busy.
And is that a tech play, Steve? Is that sort of investing in some really incredible, CRM or whatever it is that helps them on that level? Because you're talking about growth, but still maintaining that personalisation.
It's about how do we look at their business, and travel counsellors and professional travel advisors are brilliant at the front end of dealing with customers. Their ability to empathise and care and worry and concern themselves with what is right for a customer. But they also run their own business, so they've got to process a booking. There's taking customer payments. There's paying suppliers. There's finding the right product. So how can we make that part of their business seamless and frictionless, so they've got more time to look after their customers and do an even better job of delivering those relationships and providing that care? So that's a combination of how can we improve the technology, how can we sharpen our processes, how can we remove some duplication of activity to make life easier for them, how can we encourage the community to provide an even better service to other people in the community, so provide a platform for people to connect based on expertise and knowledge and insight, as we are doing with the UK product. So it's all of that. So actually,
and are these things that are just sort of gradually being improved, or is there sort of going to be new things launched, or is it just slight tweaks, or is there going to be some launches of new systems or anything coming?
I think it's an ongoing process of improvement, and I think most people who are leading a business or any function actually, no matter what you do, you want to try and get to a happy balance in your career and life, where you are happy, but you're also happily dissatisfied. And by that means you're sort of broadly contented with your lot, but you want to do to do better. So we try to bring that dissatisfaction we want to make things better and heighten it because we've had the time to think about it.
Okay, fair enough. Now look, one thing we haven't talked about this time round is your relationships with your suppliers. You were quite vociferous before around those that had worked in true partnership with you and those that perhaps hadn't. Where are you with all of that now? I know you were saying very clearly there were some that you wouldn't necessarily want to work with going forward, but I mean, how has that changed or ironed things out, or have you got new partners, lists going forward? Talk to us about that.
Well, so we have added more product in the UK because we had some gaps and people have come into the market, and existing tour operators have pivoted to the UK. So that's been helpful. I think for the most part, then most people in the travel sort of ecosystem have endeavoured to do the right thing by customers. I think a number of people, including us in the early stages, we were grasping with the volume of rebookings and refunds, and you were never immune to your duty of care and statutory responsibilities, but the sheer volume that you had to deal with, was a challenge. And we were processing more refunds in a month than we'd done in an entire year. So, and other businesses will have been in the same. So, but I think for the most part, on reflection, most businesses have tried to do the right thing. They were caught out with volume, and also the fact that protect their own cash flow. They had a lot of people on furlough, and that they didn't have the capacity maybe to work to the pace that you want. There are a small number where people have point blank refused to give any refunds where a customer has wanted one, and where a credit refund doesn't really work for the customer. In that case, we have stepped in, and we've given the customer a cash refund, and we'll deal with that credit voucher that exists in with us and the supplier over time. There'll be some suppliers that we won't be rushing back to be put on sale, but they're very, very few and far between.
Okay. All right, so that's idea. All right, I'm conscious of time, Steve. I want to just get your view on where you think the industry goes from here. So it's a bit of a macro question, but we were exposed. People weren't ready. You pointed out yourself. The volumes were just huge. It was, it's not just like a company failing. It was the whole world shut down. What do you think will happen in terms of the way the industry is regulated? Any reform is needed? What are your views sort of going forward, and how, if there, we know there are some discussions going on, don't we, at the moment, but what do you think is needed?
Well, I think obviously whatever's going on is in the context of other priorities as well. So I think the bigger picture has got to evolve in terms of on the health side of things, but there is no doubt an increasing clamour for and acceptance of and recognition of trust as a way of protecting customer money, and we're not the only ones that have been vocal about that. And the pandemic has shone a light on where there are gaps in customer financial protection. I think it's in everyone's interest to have a scheme of financial protection that hasn't got any gaps on it, a gold standard of customer financial protection. So I think that important tactical stuff hopefully will emerge over the coming weeks and months, and probably longer. I think even more fundamentally than that, what this has reaffirmed people of, and I don't know what you think on this, but it's reminded people of the power of things that they perhaps took for granted, which is, and we were talking before about the power of human touch, the power of human contact with your family, the ability to go out and socialise and share, and in our sector that includes sharing an experience in the world. There was an announcement on Monday night where the government said there is a possibility that people will be able to go on holiday from mid-May, and within 48 hours, thousands of customers are saying, please, can I book a holiday? Because they want to experience the world. And on top of that, in terms of what we do, and many of your readers and listeners do, they affect that through that human connection. The power of that and the value of that has been reinforced. So I think the power of what we do, the demand for what we do, the ability for us to help and shape people's experiences has been pronounced by this. And yes, it's been a horrendous 10, 11, 12 months, but medium term, it's going to provide some stuff for us that we can capitalise on. And people who are in travel, if we can get through the next few months, can look forward to a brilliant, exciting, bright future. And they absolutely deserve it.
Oh, it's such a, well, listen, I want to end there because it's such a good place to end on, but I'm not going to let you go with just one more. You mentioned there that in this downturn, you've had time to think and reflect, and you mentioned 3 years there. You said, like, where do we want to be in 3 years? So in the context of everything you've just said, but in terms of your business, for Travel Counsellors, where do you want to be in 3 years?
I think we want to be in a position where we get to would have been better than where we would have been without the pandemic. So
okay, yeah.
I don't think we should just accept the fact that we want to get back to where we were had it not happened. But it's taken us longer to get there. I think take the opportunity to think about how can we make things better for our people and our customers. So from our point of view, it's about how can we build out a support model for our travel counsellors that enables them to be even better at the job that they do naturally, which is caring for their customers. And how can we do that for more travel counsellors, and how they can do that for more customers, because there is demand for a significant proportion of the UK population and elsewhere for that care and that intimacy, and the pandemic has shown that.
All right. Well, that is a brilliant place to leave it. We've come up to about the right kind of time, Steve. It's a really great to talk to you. It really is. Thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best, your business and all of your travel counsellors as well. I hope they do get through the next few months, and we do, as you say, have this brighter medium-term future. It'd be great.
Well, listen, thank you, and listener, thank you for all that you have been doing to raise the voice of the industry, and raise the challenge that the industry has had, and make sure that the industry's voice is heard, and also what you've been doing to try and keep people positive during that, because I think that's been super important. So all the best to you, and thank you for listening to me.
Oh, thank you, Steve.